Just putting up my first few Flipaclip animations is pretty lame, so I'm going to just do something much more exciting. Much more exciting. This is how I learned how to use Flipaclip live and video by video. So, of course, Flipaclip started with their tutorial, right? So, here's my animation, my very first Flipaclip animation. I didn't even know how to zoom in. Okay, I didn't know how to copy paste. I didn't know how to use anything, but I did follow Flipaclip and their bounce and squeeze, as you can see, and this is 12 frames per second. It's actually, frankly speaking, considering what I knew and didn't know, not really that bad. Like, I wasn't even using the grid settings. I was just using onion skin, right? And right after that, it showed me the other Flipaclips on the internet, and the thing I saw is that they had a contest. What I was making for this contest, though I didn't know how to animate it, is this thing called overconfidence. Basically, a guy stops some vehicles with telekinetic powers, and then he gets overconfident, starts to stop a train, and he gets run over. Here's a story as you can tell with no words, and do not copy it because even if you copy it, you wouldn't be able to make it as good as me. That's my promise. Okay, this one I only have one slide because I kind of deleted the rest of the slides because it really sucked. Here's another one called Feature Trials. I'm just trying out the different features of this app, right? So this is where I learned how to use the lasso tool, right? So the lasso tool, if you use the lasso tool and then the plane, see, right here. Let's try here. Okay, zoom in. I didn't know how to zoom in back then. Right, use the lasso tool. Okay, and then perspective, you can turn it, right? If you turn here, you can actually just turn, you can change like where you're watching it from. Now undo. You can just deselect all that. Great. 3. So here's the lasso tool. I learned how to use that. 5, 6, 7. Okay, onion skin. I'm using that. Here I'm using the lasso tool, but the selection, what I do after selection was a bit different. I'll show you what I did was I transfer here. So this here would rotate this thing, and then another feature is this little dot here you see. Okay, this small circle. If you migrate it here, it's going to rotate around here. Migrate it here, it's going to rotate around here. Migrate it here, rotate around here. Okay, so let's undo all that. And yeah. So this is another thing that I started trying out in this animation in feature trials. Now I didn't do them completely in order, as in I would go to another animation and then go back to some animations, but you see to rotate and then change the background color. Here's a big rectangle I made, this thing, moving it. Now this is the first time trying to draw a dinosaur, except it's a bird, although a bird is a type of dinosaur, but I mean dinosaur, Tyrannosaur, pretty much. Tyrannosaurus Rex, but this is Tyron. Hi Tyrone. Here what I'm doing is I'm using the hand drawn, but I didn't know how to zoom in at this point, so it's really rough, right? It's basically just pecking the ground. So yeah, this is feature trials. It's trying out different features of Flipaclip. Okay. Then this is one called Growing Ball, where I just grew a ball and made it grow, and then shot it off to the right, top right. Here's Rock Smash. Here's my first serious animation, where I seriously used the lasso tool under perspective. I didn't fully get how to actually animate an arm. Okay, but I mean, this is pretty satisfying looking here. I didn't know how to zoom in. I didn't get this whole thing. Well, one thing I learned is that you have to animate the moving parts first. Then you can go frame by frame and draw the non-moving parts over it. Or at least that's what I think you should do, according to what I learned here. Because after I tried to select the lasso tool, you can't really select that accurately, so obviously his shoulder and his elbow is cracked. Or we'd have to go frame by frame to correct that, and then frame by frame to draw his muscles, right? Skeletons to move. So this is where I tried drawing with skeletons. So skeletons of a punching bag, skeletons of a dinosaur, skeletons of other things. Just going to go frame by frame here. So here is a guy just moving his paddle on his arm. Here's a punching bag that's moving. Okay. I'm just collectively using what I've learned here. A line that's moving. And a thingy that's moving, a chip. And a dinosaur. And then here's my first primate animation explained to bananas, that video I'm planning. Here's knife throw, except I didn't actually know how to zoom in here as well. I learned how to zoom in pretty well, so this guy's just throwing the knife off screen and it's not coming back. So that helps. Oh well. I really wanted to animate the Hunger Games using this. This one I just made something. I think I made something. So this is a rotating ball. So I'm using the lasso and shifting the movement tool, right? Here's improved bounce, where I use the lasso tool to make an identical ball. So yeah, it looks more realistic, but it looks a bit soulless. So I'm taking notes. Except for the bounce, which was, yeah. So here's another one called Monkey Tech, right? It's only 4 frames, so this is just me trying out more features, frankly speaking. Tool use. Tool use, if first feature is 2 blocks crashing, and then a guy that's running. You see this, so here we have the one block bouncing off another block, and the guy sprinting in here. So what it is first of all, the block bouncing off the other block, obviously an elastic collision right here. So I was just drawing that. It came out pretty good, actually. Because here's where I finally learned how to zoom in and make things more accurate and all that stuff. Right? So it's bouncing off. And then here, just look at this flash running guy here. It's much more interesting after you see that. What I was trying to do is I was trying to make 2 principal frames, but the problem is, and with this skeleton, but this skeleton, I wasn't really skilled enough to do that. So the idea was to draw the principal frames where he's moved a lot, and then draw the frames in between, and then draw over that. Now that's really tedious, but I think this is how I'd want to draw a running man animation, of a man running, that is, right? Anyway, the nodal animation here, I used that in this guy doing some exercise, some jump squat forward knees, basically. This guy's a wrestler, and I use that same drawing node by node and then frame by frame adding all the non-moving parts over him. So I first drew his leg bone, his femur bone, and his tibia bone with some space in between his hip and his arm, right? Those parts move, especially the leg, right? And his shoulder and his head. Then I went frame by frame and I drew over his leg muscles and the other stuff. So now he's exercising until I ask him to stop. Pretty lame if you just watch it, that's why I didn't get much views, but I hope you are excited to join me on this animation journey. If any of you guys have any kind of tips on how to improve my animation, especially on Flipaclip or any other free mobile app especially, please tell me. I am open to any and all suggestions. Okay? Any of you have any advice on how to animate like violence, action, moving vehicles, all that sort of stuff, please do tell me. Thanks, dudes.